Hi guys, welcome back to the Marketing Nomad YouTube channel. So today we are going to take a look into my bullet journal. This is specifically my mental health bullet journal, and we are going to do a December walkthrough. So I know in the previous video what I did was I kind of showed you how I outlined my December part of the bullet journal. So today we are going to look at every single tracker, and I'm going to talk about why I personally have included that tracker in my mental health bullet journal, and we're also going to be talking about how it has made a difference to my life. I really hope that you can use this video as a good starting point for you to start your own bullet journal, or if you've already started with your bullet journal, I really hope that this can help you, get some ideas for it to see which works for you. Feel free to use this as a good starting point and tweak it to your needs, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift the camera focus to the journal. And yeah, let's go. All right, so this is how my bullet journal looks. I have put these just to make it a little bit more pretty to me. All right, the brand of this bullet journal is Madhukar. All right, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I will put the link in the description box below. It is available only in India, if I'm not wrong. I love this brand. This is not sponsored, but I'm in such awe of their brand because high quality paper and really just amazing. Okay, I probably have been using their bullet journal for 4 years now, if I'm not wrong. I think I have 5 of them and one for each year. So yeah, this is my 5th one that I've bought from them, and I always buy the same one. Highly recommend their brand if you're getting started with bullet journal. I also like the size, like the amount of pages that they have. It usually covers one whole year for me, so I really like that as well. All right, so this is my bullet journal. Let me tell you the size as well. This is 21.5 length cm and 15.5 with the width, I guess, and then the height is about 2 cm. Okay, so that is the dimension. Let's get into it. So in this, we're just going to do a walkthrough of what I did in the previous bujo video, just so that I can explain my thought process behind every single thing that I'm tracking or what's there in my mental health journal. This is specifically only for my mental health, and it's just a tracker for everything that I feel is important for me. I hope that you can use this as a good starting point for you and your mental health journey, your self-love journey, your healing journey, whatever you wish to call it. All right, I hope that this provides a good starting point. Feel free to use what works for you. Feel free to tweak it to how it could work for you, and feel free to check out other people's bullet journals as well and try to see what inspires you to create one specifically for yourself. All right, let's get into it. So before we get into the December walkthrough, all right, it usually ends with a November review. So the previous month's review is usually in the bullet journal. All right, hold on, let me actually zoom in for you so that we can, yeah, I think that's pretty clear, right? Yeah, so it usually ends with a previous month review. It's usually a blank page. I sit and I fill it out. Maybe sometimes I even drop boxes, all right, just to kind of segregate it, but I don't know what I'm going to be doing at the end of the month, so I usually just keep it as a blank page, all right? So before we get into the December walkthrough, I just wanted to show you this so that you'll know that it usually ends with a review and then the next month begins, all right? Okay, let me put this aside. Okay, so now we have the December calendar spread, all right? First off, I have a notes column over here. It just helps me, like whatever is happening in that week. If there's some thoughts that I need to jot down, that usually happens in the notes column. If there's something I need to remember or some of my takeaways for that week, I usually put it in the notes column. That's why the notes column is segregated according to that week. Now in this spread, all right, this monthly calendar spread, I usually just jot down 1 or 2 things that happened that day. This is sort of a memory journal for me, all right? So for example, on 1st of December, if I went out for a lovely walk, maybe to Cubbon Park, and that was the first time that I'd done it in maybe 6 months. So I write down, saying, okay, well, I went for a walk to Cubbon Park, felt really nice. It's just very, very short sentences, and 1 or 2 things that I did that day, and it just helps me keep track of what I've done for that particular day, something significant or a significant memory for that particular day, and that's how I usually fill this out. All right, to me, I guess it just helps me feel nice when I look back and I feel that each day has actually counted for something, and I'm not just whizzing past each day, which has happened to me before, So this actually helps me slow down and remember, all right, you did this on this day, and then this happened the next day. That way it doesn't feel like time is flying by, all right? It gives me a chance to pause time for just a little bit. So that is my monthly spread, all right? It is basically a memory journal of what happened that particular day. And if you can see, I mean, it's not a lot, it's just 1 or 2 sentences, and sometimes it's not even a sentence. It's just phrases that I put together just to tell me something that happened that day that was significant, and maybe, if I wish to, how I felt about it. All right? So that is the memory journal that starts off with the entire month's bullet journal. Okay? Then we come to the 8 areas of life. I usually keep it as a 2-page strip. Wow, I don't know why I'm struggling with my words today. I usually keep it as a 2-page spread. Yes. All right. So 1 page is for intentions and 1 page is to review. So this usually happens before the month starts, and this happens after the month is done. All right. So for me, the 8 areas of my life are growth, fun, health, environment, relationships, finances, business, and personal. All right, so let's kind of dive deep into each one and what it means to me. So when it comes to intentions, I usually try to make it a little bit more tangible. Like, for example, growth. Okay, maybe I haven't been bullet journaling so much, so maybe for growth, all right, my intention of the month would be at least journal 3 times a week. So that is something tangible that I'm giving myself to set, I guess, my actions for that month with respect to the 8 areas of my life, right? So growth is usually to do with my personal growth. Fun is something that kind of adds fun to my life. Could be my hobbies. Maybe I haven't been focusing on them. Maybe I want to improve on a particular hobby. Whatever it is, I set intentions before the month starts, all right? My health usually has something to do with my physical health, my emotional health, my mental health, or even my spiritual health as well. These 4 come into the health section of it. Environment is my physical environment. So maybe sometimes I need to clean my environment. Maybe I need to declutter, or maybe I'm putting too many things on my desk and it's distracting me too much when I'm working. So my intention for that particular month would be to get into a habit of cleaning my space every 2 hours, so on and so forth, or removing what no longer is I don't know how I structured that sentence. Removing what I no longer need at that point in time, or when I'm starting a new task. All right, so that could be something related to environment. It could be even how you want to create an environment around you. So maybe hanging out in specific settings that make you feel good. It could also be being around certain people. Like, what's the environment that you want to create for yourself for this month? All right. So that is environment for me. Relationships, of course, I think this is pretty self-explanatory. It usually has to do with, friendships, platonic ones, work relationships, romantic relationships, my familial relationships. What are my intentions about my relationships? So, for example, maybe in December, my sister is coming to town, right? So she's coming and it's going to be so much of fun with her, but maybe I want to set intentions about that, Maybe I want to wrap up my work by 6 p.m. so that I can spend a lot of time with her, or maybe I want to take her to at least a different place every single week, so on and so forth. So whatever my intentions are towards my relationships, it comes under this. Then we come to finances. So maybe I'm not tracking it very well, so I want to keep an intention that I want to track it more. Maybe there's something that I am managing well and I want to keep that going. Maybe there's some aspect of it that I have to improve, maybe set up a system for it. That comes under finances. Business, anything and everything related to my business, whatever, maybe my ideation phase, maybe there's something that I need to keep going. Maybe there's a part of my mindset as well that I'm working on with respect to my business. I usually keep this a little bit bigger, twice, as you can see. That's because there's usually a lot that I need to kind of set intentions for before the month begins. So I kind of keep that a little bit more. Then we come to personal. This is usually my personal life, what I'm doing, how I'm feeling at every point, what I want to do to make myself feel fulfilled. All right. Now, one thing that I want to add is when it comes to intentions, before the year started, 2024, I gave one word for each of these 8 areas of my life. Like, for example, personal, my word for the year was fulfilled. All right. Everything that I do with respect to my personal area of my life, it has to be something that brings me fulfillment. Okay. And then maybe with respect to my finances, the word for the year was stable. All right. So every action that I'm taking, every intention that I'm setting before the month begins, it always has something to do with stability or making sure that my finances are stable long term. Okay, so that really helped me. Actually, I started this in 2023 and I continued the same words for 2024 because they worked so well for me. And honestly, it makes me feel so good when I look at my life as a whole. So I highly recommend, setting one word. You can change it every 6 months. You can change it every quarter. You can change it every year. I personally have not changed it for the last 2 years. I started in 2023. I still have the same words. And for me, it still applies. I can still come up with different intentions every single month for those specific words. And I really feel that I am working towards a larger picture when it comes to the 8 areas of my life. But I highly recommend that, all right? So just keep a word in mind and you kind of set your intentions according to that word, okay? Then we have the review. It's going to be the same thing. It's most likely, me taking a look at what I've done with respect to that particular area of my life. So for example, in growth, we did say that maybe I want to journal at least 3 times a week. So maybe over here I write, okay, well, week 1 and 2, I did journal 3 times a week, but then week 3 and 4, it was 2. And then week 5, I did my best and I was able to do 5. So even just, having that review and writing my thoughts about it helps me understand where I'm at so that I can set intentions for the next month. So maybe 3 times a week was a good amount, but maybe the next month I want to make it 4. Or if I was not able to keep up with 3 times a week this month, then next month I would set a lower intention, like maybe twice a week. Let's start there. Let's go baby steps, So just having that review helps me understand where I'm at and how I can use that information to set my priorities and my intentions for the next month. All right. I highly recommend these 2 pages because I feel like for me, especially as an entrepreneur, I tend to focus only on these 2, as you can see, the bigger aspects, my business and my personal life. And sometimes I kind of neglect the other 6. But when I set intentions, I'm actually putting a lot of effort into understanding what I want for that particular month with respect to the area of my life. And at the end of the month, I feel even if I don't 100% achieve it, even if it's like 50%, I feel like at least I have paid attention to it. At least I have given it my best. And that makes me feel good. For me, even that 50% effort is better than 0, which I would have probably done if I hadn't set intentions or reviews. So it's not about the percentage that you're working on. It's the fact that you have actually given it your attention for that month and you've done your best to try to balance it. All right. So that's the mindset that I have when I approach this. Then we come to my anxiety tracker. All right. So I personally love this tracker. The reason for that is because it helps me track my anxiety. Very simply put, for me in particular, when I don't track my anxiety, I've noticed that every day feels like a big day for my anxiety. I think that I've also mentioned this before as well. And I don't really have a very realistic view of how my anxiety is acting if I don't track it. All right. So even if it is probably maybe 1 day a week that I'm having a bit higher level of anxiety, sometimes it feels like the whole week has been filled with so much of anxiety, and that can be, pretty detrimental long term as well. So for me, the anxiety tracker helps me objectively stop and take a look at my anxiety levels and try to see where I'm at. So I kind of made this a little bit fun for me because, I think that anxiety tracking can sometimes be a little bit serious. It's a serious, thing that you're going through, right? So I kind of kept it a little bit light, a little bit fun for me, just so that when I'm, kind of thinking about it, or I'm kind of approaching how much anxiety I've had that particular day, I'm not really, yes, I'm taking it seriously, but at the same time, I'm also letting myself know that that doesn't define who I am, and it's just one part of me as a person, all right? So I have like 10 boxes over here, and then for that particular day, I just color the boxes. You can color it, you can shade it, so 10 is the maximum. All right, and then sometimes my anxiety is at 5, sometimes I have no anxiety that day, and that's okay. Sometimes it's like 10. And over here in the notes, I write the reason or the trigger for my anxiety that day. So maybe, for example, this is just an example, all right? Maybe visiting like an old friend of mine, maybe it brought up certain triggers of something that I went through at that point in time. So that could be something. So even just understanding what that trigger is so that I can work through it later in my journal, or I can work through it at a later time itself, has really helped me so much with respect to managing my anxiety, all right? So this tracker is, honestly, it's changed my life. I gotta say, it's just brilliant. It's just beyond brilliant. So I color it and then I write the trigger, and then over time, either I watch for what is recurring and I kind of see, all right, how do I work through that? How do I, kind of ease myself? What's the thought process I'm having about it? And so on and so forth. So that's a different line altogether, but this at least helps me track it, okay? Then we come to the sleep, mood, and stress tracker. Oh my gosh, I love this so much. Okay, so this, it's basically a graph, all right? You have the dates over here, you have a scale of 10, and then you just go, all right, so today, maybe I didn't sleep very well, so it was a 2. I put a dot at 2. Then maybe tomorrow I slept pretty well, but it wasn't really that great, so I'll put a 7. So I kind of join the line, and then at the end of it, it becomes a graph, okay? Then mood will be this, so it's the same thing. So maybe my mood wasn't so great, but I did feel pretty average, so maybe 5. And then maybe the next day something happened and I felt really good, so 8. And then I kind of draw the lines. Stress, the same thing. Now, the reason why I like this tracker so much is because it helps me correlate my stress to my sleep, my stress to my mood to my sleep, my mood to my stress as well. All right, so just understanding that these 3 are often connected and how they're relating to one another really helps me kind of manage my sleep, my mood, and my stress. So, for example, if I have high stress levels and my mood also has been chaotic, it's usually interlinked, right? So I kind of work on my stress to bring my mood better. Now, if my sleep has been affected by my stress, again, same thing. Now, if my stress has been affected by my sleep, like I'm not sleeping very well, and therefore I am stressed out, then I gotta tackle my sleep. I gotta tackle that problem. So it helps me understand which part I should be focused on so that I can at least, have good sleep, a good mood, and low stress levels, okay? And sometimes it's just information that you need, Sometimes it is a high stress month and you can't really help it. But at the same time, you just keep track and all right, this was a high stress month. Let me try working on that the next month. Okay, so this is my sleep, mood, and stress tracker. Then we come to the health tracker. All right, this is like this, okay? So again, we've got the dates over here. I've not filled this in because I kind of wanted to keep it private, but I also wanted to show it to you. So over here, each line will be something that I'm tracking with respect to my health, all right? And this can be so many different things. You can really tweak it to whatever it is that you want to, like how many times a week or month are you exercising? For me, I track my yoga, I track my badminton, I also track the food that I'm eating as well. Sometimes certain foods kind of trigger, maybe, it kind of triggers something within me, so I kind of note that down as well. I also kind of track my physical activity. I mentioned that. I also track my things related to like my cycle. It could also be related to I guess it could be food. I'm just thinking of other things that I track because my top part is usually food. Like when did I eat outside food? When did I eat home food? Certain kinds of food that are unhealthy for me, but then I kind of have them at least once a week. So I guess I just want to track so that I'm not having them more than once a week. The second section is usually physical activity for me. The third section is something related to my health. Oh yeah, my physical health. Yes, like I am prone to migraines, right? So I tend to write down when I'm getting a migraine, and then sometimes I have allergies as well, so I track that. So yeah, I was just thinking like, what else do I track? Because I do track, and they're kind of divided into segments for me. And then of course, lastly, I do track my cycle as well, because that's also super, super important to track and just know which phase you are in at what point in the month, all right? So this is my health tracker. It's this way, and then I just write it down over here, and then I just mark it according to the day. So it gives me the entire month at a glance and different aspects of my health that I'm tracking. Oh yes, I also track water as well, because I kind of struggle with that sometimes, like drinking a good amount of water, so that also comes in, okay? But feel free to track it according to how you wish to, completely onto you. That's why I've left it free for you to kind of think about what matters to you and what you wish to track. Then we come to my gratitude tracker. So gratitude usually is just one sentence for that particular day. What was I grateful about? What happened that day that made me smile and say, oh my gosh, thank you for this. Thank you so much for this. This is such a blessing. Or I didn't have this at one point, or I prayed so much for this at one point and today I have it. Or it could be something that's so ordinary that honestly, I would not have thought twice about it, but if I didn't have it, it would really impact my life significantly. So that is for this. You know, I really like this page so much because I've been doing this for 4 years now, all right? And I really like this page so much because during the 6 months that I wasn't doing my gratitude journal, I realized that I was struggling to find joy in my life. I think that I was also trying very hard to kind of see the positives about that stressful period of my life, but I think that when you are not intentionally looking for things to be grateful for, it is easier for one to overlook the things that you do have that you're taking for granted. And I also think that it's easier to kind of slide into the lack of things, like kind of being in that like lack mindset. So I kind of felt that about myself for 6 months. I mean, I've been doing this for 4 years. I didn't realize the impact that this particular tracker had on me until I stopped doing it for 6 months. And then all of a sudden, like at the end of those 6 months, I'm like, oh, I need to be grateful about something. Well, what am I grateful for? And then I realized that it's because I did not track it every single day. And I didn't give myself those few minutes to feel grateful about something every single day, that it had piled up so much by the end of 6 months, and kind of made a promise to myself that I will always, like whatever happens, this is one tracker that I will always do for the rest of my life because it's important for me. Otherwise, I become very, very lost without it. All right, so it's just one single sentence. All right, sometimes I can elaborate. This one box, that one row, yeah, sometimes I can actually fit in 2 sentences depending on how small I write, but usually it's just one sentence. I usually don't have that much to write. It's just one sentence or maximum 2. And I think I like it that way because I am not, it's not something that I am doing or I'm forced to do, you know, not writing a big paragraph about it. No, it's just something that crossed my mind for those few seconds and I just want to write it down. I like to keep the process a little bit simple so that I actually follow through on it. If it was, and I have done this, like in my first year, the gratitude was a big box. I realized that I didn't have that much to fill, and then the box would seem empty, like half of it, and I would be like, okay, it would make me feel internally that I didn't have much to be grateful for, because that's the visual message that you're sending for yourself, right? So for me, I just ended up starting to put it as a line, a single line. So even if it's a few words, it feels full. It feels like there's so much in my life to be grateful for. So a little bit of a psychology trick, I guess, I use on myself for this, okay? So that is why it's only one sentence and it's not a box, but feel free if you have a lot of things to be grateful for every single day, or you are someone who likes to write a lot with respect to what you're grateful for, or maybe there is just that much to write, feel free to, you know, kind of design it your way. But for me, one sentence works and it helps me feel full of gratitude. Okay? So that is the gratitude. Then we come to these 4 sections that I've done for myself. So this is basically my journaling, all right? So I have the date, I also have the day, and I just write down. That's it. It's pretty much it. What I feel for that particular day, all my thoughts go on paper. And I know that it feels like a small amount of space, but I actually write 2 sentences in 1 box row. So it's actually quite a lot for me, and I like to keep it that way. I like to make it small, and I don't know why, but I just do. And I actually fill the whole thing. Before I had it about half a page. Again, I felt a bit too spaced out. Like sometimes I would run out of things to say, and again, I would feel like I was wasting space. So I decided to kind of make it into a quarter. And if at all I need to add something more, I just put it on a post-it and then I stick it on top of that. So that is something. So I would rather give myself just enough space, and then if I had something more, occasionally I would put more, rather than have more and then always write less and occasionally only write more. So this I feel is like the perfect size for me, but again, really depends on you, all right? For me, this is more of me revisiting my thoughts and my feelings for that particular day, and just having something that I can look back on or read back at some point to see how far I've come, all right? But for some others, I know that, you know, journaling can be a very, very in-depth process, like 3 pages. There is an actual journaling technique called 3 pages. So for some of you, it could be that. For others of you, you might prefer a whole page, completely on you, all right? For me, quarter page works really well. If I need more space, a post-it goes on there. And that's pretty much it, you know. I just fill it out. And then we have a small notes section over here because it ended at 31. If it didn't, I probably would not have had the notes section. And then over here, I usually put the December review, but I'm hoping to see, like the reason why I'm stalling this is because I might have something more that I wish to add, maybe for the new year, or, you know, just like a reflection of the entire year. So I've kind of kept it a little bit blank, but usually the December review goes over here, and I probably will do a 2024 review over here, which I will show you a video when I do it. But yeah, this is my entire bullet journal right over here for you. This is just a simple walkthrough of what I do every single month and how I kind of tackle my mental health. This is specifically my mental health bullet journal, all right? Now, I really hope that this reading brought you some sort of clarity about getting started on your bullet journal, or maybe it gave you ideas to work on your bullet journal. This has helped me so much. I mean, 6 months without it, I was so lost. So I'm kind of like, I'm so for it right now, and I've kind of realized the value and the impact that it has had on my life. And yeah, I've definitely been following up very well in November, and I'm hoping to continue that as well. All right, so if you like this video, please do give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, because that tells you every single time I do upload a video. And yeah, I'll catch you in my next one. Take care. Bye-bye.